हरे कृष्णा। शुरू करते हैं प्रभु। ये डे 5 है। डे इज द डे 5 ऑफ रीडिंग श्रीमद् भागवतम। हम मंगलाचरण से शुरू करेंगे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भव भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशिलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। तो प्रभु आज हम शुरू कर रहे हैं श्रीमद् भागवतम कैंटो 1 चैप्टर 1 टेक्स्ट 1। चैप्टर 1 क्वेश्चन बाय सेजेस। टेक्स्ट 1। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। जन्माद्यस्य यतो ज-
जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयात् प्रत्यरतश्चार्थस्य अभिज्ञास्वरात्
तेने ब्रह्मा हृदय आदि कवये मुह्यन्ति यत् सूरयः तेजोवारी मृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो विश्वा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। Synonyms. Om, my Lord. Namaha, offering my obeisances. Bhagavate, unto the personality of Godhead. Vasudevaya, unto Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva, or Lord Sri Krishna, the primeval Lord. Janma Adi, Janma Adi, creation, sustenance, and destruction. Asya, of the manifested universe. Yatha, from whom. अन्व अन, क्या लिखा? अन्वयात, डायरेक्टली। इतरतः, इनडायरेक्टली। च, एंड। अर्थेषु, पर्पजेस। अभी, या, फुल्ली कॉग्निजेंट। स्वरात, फुल्ली इंडिपेंडेंट। स्वराट, फुल्ली इंडिपेंडेंट। तेने, imparted. Brahma, the Vedic knowledge. Hृदा, consciousness of the heart. Yah, one, two. Adi Kavaye, unto the original created being. Muyanti, and illusion. Yat, about whom. Suryaha, great sages and demigods. Tejaha, fire. Vari, water. Mrudam, earth. Yatha, as much as. Vinimayaha, action and reaction. Yatra, whereupon. Three sargaha, three modes of creation. Creative faculties. Amrasa, almost factual. Dhamna, along with all transcendental paraphernalia. Twena, self-sufficient. Sada, always. Nirasta, negation by absence. Uhakam, illusion. Satyam, truth. Param, absolute. Dhimahi, I do meditate upon. Translation. O my Lord Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all cause of the creation, sustenance and destruction of the manifested universe. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestation, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge onto the heart of Brahmaji, and original living being, and the original Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages, the demigods, are placed into illusion. And sorry, as one is bewildered by the illusory representation of water seen in fire. Uh, as one is bewildered by the illusory representation of water seen in fire, or land seen on water, only because him do the material universe temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representation of of the material world. I meditate upon him, and he, and for he, is the absolute truth. Purport. Obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Vasudeva directly indicate Lord Sri Krishna, who is the divine son of and Vasudev and Devaki. This fact will be more explicitly explained in the text of this work. See, Vyasdeva asserts herein that Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all others are his direct and indirect plenary persons or portions of the persons. Srila Jiva Goswami has even more explicitly explained the subject matter in the Krishna Sandarbha, and Brahma, the original living being, has explained the subject of Sri Krishna substantially in his treatise named Brahma Samhita. In an Upanishad in the Samved, it is also stated that Lord Sri Krishna is the divine son of Devaki. Therefore, in this prayer, the first proposition holds that Lord Sri Krishna is the primeval Lord, and if any transcendental nomenclature is to understand as belonging to the personality of Godhead, it must be named indicated by the word Krishna, which means all attractive. In Bhagavad Gita, in many places, the Lord asserts himself to be the original personality of Godhead, and this is confirmed by Arjuna and also by great sage Narada, Vyasa, and many others. In the Padma Purana, it is also stated that out of the innumerable names of the Lord, the name Krishna is principal one. Vasudeva indicates that the plenary persons of the personality of Godhead and all the different forms of the Lord, being identical with Vasudeva, are indicated in this text. The name Vasudeva particularly indicates the divine son of Vasudev and Devaki. Sri Krishna is always meditated upon by Paramhamsas, who are the perfected ones among those in the renounced order of life. Vasudev or Lord Sri Krishna is the cause of all cause. Everything that exists emanates from the Lord. How this is so explained in later chapter of this work. This work is described by Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya as the spotless uh, Purana because it contains the transcendental narration of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This work is described by Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya. The history of the Srimad Bhagavatam is also very glorious. It was compiled by Sri Vasudev after he had attained maturity in transcendental knowledge. He wrote these under the instruction of Sri Narada, his spiritual master. Vyasadeva compiled all Vedic literature containing the four division of Vedas, the Vedanta Sutra or the Brahma Sutra, the Puranas, the Mahabharatas, and so on. But nevertheless, he was not satisfied. His dissatisfaction was observed by his spiritual master, and thus Narada advised him to write on the transcendental activities of Lord Sri Krishna. These transcendental activities are described specifically in the 10th canto of this work. But in order to reach to the very substance, one must proceed gradually by developing knowledge of the categories. It is natural that a philosophical mind wants to know about the origin of the creation. At night, he sees the stars in the sky and he naturally speculates about their inhabitant. Such inquiries are natural for a man because man has a developed consciousness which is higher than that of the animal. The author of Srimad Bhagavatam gives a direct answer to such inquiries. He says that the Lord Sri Krishna is the origin of all creation. He is not only the creator of the universe but the destroyer as well. The manifested cosmic nature is created as a certain period by the will of the Lord. It maintained for some time, then it annihilated by his will. Therefore, the supreme will is behind all cosmic activities. Of course, there are atheists of various categories who do not believe in a creator, but that is due to a fourfold of knowledge. The modern scientist, for example, has created space satellites, and by some arrangement or other, the satellites are thrown into outer space to fly for some time at the control of the scientist who is far away. Similarly, all the universe with innumerable stars and planets are controlled by the intelligence of the personality of Godhead. Okay. In Vedic literature, it is said that the absolute truth, personality of Godhead, is the chief amongst all the living personalities. All living beings, being from first created beings, Brahma, down the smallest and are individual living beings. The above and above Brahma, there are even other living beings with individual capacities. Above Brahma also. And the personality of Godhead is also a similar living being, and he is an individual as the other living being. But the Supreme Lord or the Supreme Living Being has the greatest intelligence. He possesses supermost inconceivable energies of all different varieties. If a man's brain can produce a space satellite, one can very easily imagine how brains higher than man can produce similarly wonderful things which are far superior. The reasonable person will easily accept this argument, but there are stubborn atheists who would never agree. Srila Vasudev, however, at once accept the supreme intelligence as Parameswara. He offered his respectful obeisances unto the supreme intelligence addressed as the Para or the Parameswara of the supreme or the Parameswara or the supreme personality of Godhead. And that Parameswara is Sri Krishna, as admitted in Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures delivered by Sri Vasudev, and specifically in this Srimad Bhagavatam. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that there is no other Paratattva, Samanvanam, than himself. Therefore, Mhm. Therefore, Sri Vyasadeva at once worshipped the Paratattva, Sri Krishna, whose transcendental activities are described in the 10th canto.
क्या वाक्य है। भगवान खुद आकर बोल रहे हैं कि मुझसे बढ़कर कोई नहीं है और कोई मानने को तैयार ही नहीं है।
अब सही रहेगा, अभी लाइट आ गया।
अच्छा, दिख नहीं रहा था।
नहीं, तब नहीं दिख रहा था, ये वाला आया नहीं था तभी।
अच्छा।
Unscrupulous persons go immediately on the 10th canto and especially to the five chapters which describe Lord's rasa dance. This portion of the Srimad Bhagavatam is most confidential part of this great literature. Unless one is thoroughly accomplished in the transcendental knowledge of the Lord, one is sure to misunderstand the Lord's worshipable transcendental pastime called rasa dance and his love affairs with the gopis. This subject matter is highly spiritual, and only liberated persons who have gradually attained to the stage of Paramahamsa can transcendentally realize this rasa dance. Srila Vyasadeva therefore gives the reader the chance to gradually develop spiritual realization before actually releasing the essence of the pastimes of the Lord. Therefore, he purposely invokes a Gayatri mantra, Dhimahi. This Gayatri mantra is meant for spiritual advanced people. When one is successful in chanting the Gayatri mantra, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. One must therefore acquire Brahminical qualities. One must therefore acquire Brahminical qualities or be perfectly situated in the qualities of goodness in order to chant the Gayatri Mantra successfully and then attain to the stage of transcendentally realizing the Lord, His name, His fame, His qualities, and so on. Srimad Bhagavatam is a narration of the Swarup of the Lord manifested by his eternal potencies. And this potency is distinguished from external potency, which has manifested the cosmic world, which is within our experience. Srimad Bhagavatam is a narration of the Swarup of the Lord manifested by his eternal potency. And this potency is distinguished from the external potency which has manifested the cosmic world which is within our experience. Okay, Srila Vyasada makes a clear distinction between the two in this sloka. Sri Vyasadeva says herein that the manifested eternal potency is real, whereas the external manifested energy in the form of material existence is only temporary and illusory, like the mirage in the desert. In that the manifested eternal potency is real, whereas the external manifested energy in the form of material existence is only temporary and illusory, like mirage in the desert. Okay. In the desert mirage, there is no actuator. There is only the appearance of water. Real water is somewhere else. The manifested cosmic creation appears as reality, but reality of which this is what is shadow, but reality of which this is what is shadow in the spiritual world. Absolute truth in the spiritual sky, not the material sky. क्या बोले प्रभु जी? Absolute truth is in the spiritual sky, not in the material sky. In the material sky, everything is relative truth. This is to say, one truth depends on something else. This cosmic creation results for interaction of the three modes of nature, and the temporary manifestations are so created as to present an illusion of reality to the bewildered mind of the conditioned soul, who appeared in so many species of life, including the higher demigods like Brahma, Indra, Chandra, and so on. In actually, there is no reality in the manifested world. Okay. There appears to be reality. However, because of the true reality which exists in the spiritual world, where the personality of Godhead eternally exists with his transcendental paraphernalia. अच्छा, ये वाला जो एनालॉजी ये प्रभुपाद जी अपने बुक्स में कोई बुक्स में लिखे हैं, जैसे कि हम डिजर्ट में क्या देखते हैं, मिरेज देखते हैं, मिरेज में हमें पानी दिखाई देता है, पानी दिखाई देता है, बट वहां पे एक्चुअली में पानी नहीं होता है। बट इसका मतलब नहीं है कि दुनिया की कोई और जगह पे पानी नहीं है, दुनिया में पानी एग्जिस्ट करता है, इसलिए हमें लगता है कि वहां पे पानी है। इस ऐसे ही इस दुनिया में हमें लगता है कि खुशी है, बट ये मटेरियल वर्ल्ड में नहीं है।
उसी का ही और
उसी
है।
का ही है,
हाँ।
इसलिए हमें इधर दिख रहा है।
अच्छा।
The chief engineer of a complicated construction does not personally take part in the construction, but he knows every nook and corner because everything is done under his direction. He knows everything about the construction, both directly and indirectly. Similarly, the personality of Godhead, who is the supreme engineer of this cosmic creation, knows every nook and corner, although affairs are being carried out by demigods. Beginning from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, no one is independent in material creation. The hands of the Lord is seen everywhere. All material elements are elements as well as the spiritual sparks emanates from Him only. And whatever is created in this material world is but the interaction of two energies, the material and spiritual, which emanates from the absolute truth. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, a chemist can manufacture water in. No, no, no. And whatever is created in this material world is but an interaction of two energies, the material and spiritual, which emanates from the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. A chemist can manufacture water in the chemical laboratory by mixing hydrogen and oxygen. Either be science.
स्पिरिचुअल साइंस।
But in reality, the living entity works in the laboratory under the direction of the Supreme Lord, and the materials with which he works are also supplied by the Lord. The Lord knows everything directly and indirectly. He is cognizant of all minute details, and he is fully independent. He is compared to a mine of gold, and the cosmic creation is in so many different forms. In the cosmic creation, in so many different forms, are compared to objects made from the gold, such as gold rings, necklace, and so on. The gold rings and the gold necklace are qualitatively one with the gold in the mine, but quantitatively the gold in the mine is different. हाँ, जैसे कि हम क्वालिटी वाइज सेम है, बट क्वांटिटी
क्वांटिटी।
वाइज वी आर minute in size. Therefore, the absolute truth is simultaneously one and different. The absolute truth is simultaneously one. मतलब वो
एक
जो
है और उनके से अलग भी है, अचिंत्य
अचिंत्य
भेदाभेद।
भेदाभेद, हाँ. Nothing is absolutely equal with the absolute truth, but at the same time, nothing is independent of the absolute truth. Conditioned souls, uh, beginning from Brahma, who, inge- who engineers the entire universe down to the insignificant ant and all creating, but none of them is independent of the Supreme Lord. The materialist wrongly thinks that there is no creator other than his own self. This is called Maya or illusion. Because of his poor fund of knowledge, the materialist cannot see beyond the purview of the imperfect senses, and thus he thinks that matters automatically takes into oneself without the aid of a superior intelligence. This is refuted in the sloka by Srila Vyasadeva. Since the complete whole of the absolute truth is the source of everything, nothing can be independent of the body of the absolute truth. Whatever happens to the body quickly becomes known to the embodied. Whatever happens to the body quickly becomes known to the embodied. Similarly, the creation is the body of the absolute whole. Therefore, the absolute knows everything directly and indirectly that happens in the creation. Okay, जैसे हमारे बॉडी में कुछ भी होता है तो हमें पता चल जाता है, इस टाइप का. Similarly, the body, the creation of the body, creation is the body of the absolute truth. जो creation है, it is the body of the absolute truth. Therefore, the absolute knows everything directly and indirectly what happens in the creation. Okay. In the Shruti mantra, it is also stated that the absolute whole or Brahma is the ultimate source of everything. Everything emanates from him, and everything is maintained by him, and at the end, everything enters into him. That is the law of nature. In the Smriti mantra, the same is confirmed. It is said that the source from which everything emanates at the beginning of Brahma's millennium and the reservoir to which everything ultimately enters and the reservoir to which everything ultimately enters is the absolute truth or Brahma. The material scientists take it for granted that the ultimate source of planetary system is the sun, but they are unable to explain the source of the sun. Herein, the ultimate source is explained. According to the Vedic literature, Brahma, who may be compared to sun, is not the ultimate creator. According to the Vedic literature, Brahma, who may be compared to the sun, is not the ultimate creator. It is stated in the sloka that Brahma was taught Vedic knowledge by the personality of Godhead. One may argue that Brahma, being the original living being, could not be inspired because there was no other being living at that time. Herein it is stated that the Supreme Lord inspired the secondary creator, Brahma, in order that Brahma could carry out his creative functions. So the supreme intelligence behind all creation is the absolute Godhead Sri Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna states that it is he only who superintends the creative energy, Prakriti, which constitute the totality of matter. Therefore, Sri Vasudev does not worship Brahma, but the Supreme Lord, who guides Brahma in his creative activities. In this loka, the particular word Abhigya or Swarat are significant. These two words distinguish the Supreme Lord from all other living entities. No other living entity is either Avijna or Swarat. This is that is, no one is either fully cognizant or fully independent. Even Brahma has to meditate upon the Supreme Lord in order to create. Even Brahma has to meditate upon the Supreme Lord to create. Then what to speak of great scientists like Einstein? The brain of such a scientist are certainly not the products of any human being. Okay, scientists cannot manufacture such a brain. And what to speak of foolish atheists who defy the authority of the Lord? Even Mayavadi impersonalists who flatter themselves that they can become one with the Lord and neither Avijna nor Swarat. Such impersonalists undergo severe austerities to acquire knowledge to become one with the Lord. But ultimately, they become dependent on some rich disciple who supplies them with money अच्छा, to build
monasteries.
क्या लिखा है ये monasteries
हाँ,
and temples. Atheists like Ravana or Hiranyakasipu had to undergo severe penances before they could flout the authority of the Lord. But ultimately, they were rendered helpless and could not save themselves when the Lord appeared before them as cruel death. It is also the case with the modern atheist who also dare to flout the authority of the Lord. Such atheists will be dealt with similarly. For history repeat itself, for history repeat itself. Whenever man neglect the authority of the Lord, nature and her laws, uh, uh, they took. Whenever man neglect the authority of the Lord, nature and her laws are there to penalize them. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 4.7. It is well known verse Bada Bada.
Yada
Sorry, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanihi. Whenever there is a decline of dharma and a rise of adharma, oh Arjuna, then I incarnate myself. ये वाला समझ में आया ब्रो whenever the man neglect the authority of the Lord, nature and her laws. नहीं Lord, nature and her laws are there to penalize them. Hollywood,
हाँ वही तो
Hollywood की आग.
पता चल गया। जो गॉड को बिलीव नहीं कर रहे थे वो चिल्ला रहे थे ओ माय गॉड ओ माय गॉड।
That the Supreme Lord is all perfect is confirmed in the Shruti mantras. It is said in the Shruti mantras that the all perfect Lord threw a glance over matter and thus created all living beings. The living beings are parts and parcel of the Lord, and He impregnates the vast material creation with seeds of spiritual sparks. And thus, the creative energies are set in motion to enact so many wonderful creations. An atheist may argue that God is no more expert than a watchmaker. But of course, God is greater because he can create machines in duplicate male and female forms. The male and female forms of different types of machineries go on producing innumerable similar machines without God's further attention. If a man could manufacture such a set of machine that could produce other machine without his attention, then he could approach the intelligence of God. But that is not possible. For each machine has to be handled individually. Therefore, one can create as well. Therefore, no one can create as well as God. Another name of God is Aso Mardha, Asamurdhva, which means that no one is equal to or greater than him. Param Satyam, or the supreme truth, is he who has no equal or superior. This is confirmed in the Shruti mantras. It is said that before the creation of the material universe, there exists the Lord only, who is master of everyone. Who is master of everyone. That Lord instruct Brahma in Vedic knowledge. That Lord has to be obeyed in all respect. Anyone who want to get rid of material entanglement must surrender unto him. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Unless one surrender unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, it is certain that he will be bewildered. When an intelligent man surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Lord of Krishna and knows completely that Krishna is the cause of all causes, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, then only can such an intelligent man become a Mahatma or a great soul.
महात्मा सुदुर्लभ
हाँ, सब महात्मा सुदुर्लभ। ये कौन सा श्लोक है प्रभु? बहुनाम जन्मनाम अंते ज्ञानवान माम प्रपद्यन्ते ना, वासुदेवम सर्वमेति स्वमात्मा सुदुर्लभ.
Such a great soul is very rare.
But such a great soul is rarely seen. Only the Mahatmas can understand that the Supreme Lord is the primeval cause of all creation. He is Parama, or ultimate truth, because all other truths are relative to him. He is omniscient. For him, there is no illusion. So Mayavadi scholars argues that Srimad Bhagavatam was not compiled by Sri Vyasadeva. And some of them suggest that this book is a modern creation written by someone named Bhopadeva. In order to refute such meaningless arguments, Sridhar Swami point out that there is a reference to the Bhagavatam in many of the oldest Puranas. The first sloka of the Bhagavatam begins with the Gayatri mantra. There is a reference to this in the Matsya Purana, which is the oldest Purana. In that Purana, it is said that reference to the Gayatri mantra in the Bhagavatam, that there are many narrations of the spiritual instruction beginning from Gayatri mantra, and there is the history of Vritrasur. Anyone who makes a gift of this great work on a full moon day attains to the highest perfection of life by returning to Godhead.
बोलिए किसको दे
क्या लगे? Anyone who makes a gift of this great work on a full moon day tends to the highest perfection of life by returning to Godhead. This there is सच में लिखा है, मतलब तो हुआ होगा। मतलब कोई श्रीमद् भागवतम गिफ्ट करता है तो
हाँ फुल मून डे को वाओ नाइस
अच्छा. There is reference to the Bhagavatam in other Puranas also, uh, mm, where it is clearly stated, or it is clearly stated that This work was finished in 12 cantos, which include 18,000 slokas. Okay. In the Padma Purana, also there is reference to the Bhagavatam. In a conversation between Gautama and Maharaj Ambarish, the king was advised therein to read regularly Srimad Bhagavatam if he desired liberation from material bondage. Under the circumstances, there is no doubt about the authority of the Bhagavatam. Within the past 5,000 years, many
100.
in the past 500 years, many erudite scholars and acharyas like Jiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti, Vallabhacharya, and many other distinguished scholars, even after the time of Lord Chaitanya, made elaborate commentaries on the Bhagavatam, and the serious students would do well to attempt to go through them to better release the transcendental message. The serious students would do well to attempt to go through them to better release the transcendental message. Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur specially deals with the specifically deals with the Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur specifically deals with the original and the pure sex psychology, Adiras, devoid of all mundane
Inhebrate.
inebriety. इसका मतलब क्या है ब्रो?
Drunkenness, habit, or intoxication.
अच्छा, intoxication. The whole material creation is moving under the principle of sex life. In modern civilization, sex life is the focal point for all activities. Wherever one turns his face, he sees sex life predominant. Therefore, sex life is not unreal. Its reality is experienced in the spiritual world. The material sex life is but a perverted reflection of the original fact. The original fact is in the absolute truth, and thus the absolute truth cannot be impersonal. It is not possible to be impersonal and contain pure sex life. Consequently, the impersonalist philosophers have given indirect impetus to the abominable mundane sex life because they have overstressed the impersonality of the ultimate truth. Consequently, man with information of the actual spiritual form of sex has accepted perverted material sex life as the all in all. Consequently, man without information of the actual spiritual form of sex has accepted perfected material sex life as the all in all. There is a distinction between sex life in the diseased material condition and spiritual sex life. Okay. This Srimad Bhagavatam will gradually elevate the unbased reader to the highest. This Srimad Bhagavatam will gradually elevate the unbased reader to the highest perfectional stage of the transcendence. It will enable him to transcend the three mode of material activities. What are these? Now, fruitive actions, speculative philosophy, and worship of functional deities as included in the Vedic verses. क्या बोले समझ में नहीं आया. This Srimad Bhagavatam will gradually elevate the unbiased reader to the highest perfectional stage of transcendence. It will enable him to transcend the three modes of material activities. Three modes of material activities: the fruitive actions, speculative philosophies, fruitive actions, speculative philosophies, and worship of functional deities as inculcated in the Vedic verses.
थ्री मोड्स ऑफ मटेरियल एक्टिविटीज जैसे कि ये सब उनको ट्रांसेंड करने में हेल्प करेगा.
अच्छा, ये थ्री मोड्स ऑफ मेटेरियल नेचर नहीं है, ये थ्री मोड्स ऑफ मेटेरियल एक्टिविटीज है. ये फ्रूटिटिव एक्शन, speculative philosophy, and worship of functionalities as included inculcated inculcated in the Vedic verses. Okay. One is fruitive action, one is speculative philosophy, and worship of functional deities. फंक्शनल डिटीज मतलब?
सुपर फंक्शनलिटीज।
मतलब डेमिगॉड से बात कर रहे हैं क्या?
फंक्शनल।
ओ, फंक्शनल डिटीज मतलब जो मतलब जो लोग अपने आप को भगवान बोलते हैं, वो है क्या? पता नहीं, पूछना पड़ेगा। पूछते हैं। अच्छा, टेक्स्ट वन कंप्लीट हो गया? सच में?
यस।
Okay, तो आज यहाँ पे रखते हैं। हाँ।
टेक्स्ट टू भी देख लें।
ये टेक्स्ट वन का कुछ लेक्चर सुनेंगे ब्रो, फिर टेक्स्ट टू पे जाएंगे। तो टेक्स्ट वन पढ़ तो लिए, वो तो वो आज के लिए आज यहाँ पे रखते हैं। फिर चैप्टर वन टेक्स्ट टू कल पढ़ेंगे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की
जय।
जगत प्रभुपाद की
जय।